Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're in Masechta Shavuot daf Daled. We're going to begin on Daled and Alpha about 9 lines from the top. We saw in our Mishnah that Shavuos Shtaim Shein Arba. When we say that there's two, that's referring, as the Mishnah explained through Rashi, things that are found in the Psukim. And we find that when it comes to a person who says, I will eat or I will not eat, and violates it, that's a shvuah, and which there's a violation, and therefore there will be a chiyuv of having to bring a carbon oil v'yored. However, it also could include that which happened in the past tense. For example, l'sha'avar, you said achalti v'hu lo achal, o lo achalti v'achal. I didn't eat, but you did, or I did eat and you didn't. So the two could be talking about in the future, and the other two is past tense. So we asked on yesterday's daf that l'chayra our Mishnah does not hold like either shita, Rabbi Shmuel or Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Shmuel says enu chayav al ha'asid lavoi, only on the future, namely I will not eat or I will eat. However, not in the past. So we ended up saying that possibly we could tackle hold like the shita of Rabbi Shmuel. However, when does Rabbi Shmuel say that the past doesn't work? That has to do with the chiyuv of a carbon. However, there would still be malchus, and therefore it's possible that it's not, because we originally said, well, maybe you're not. Our Mishnah is saying sometimes you're chayav, sometimes you're potter. So I'm saying no. According to Rabbi Shmuel, it has to be taka that there is some type of punishment. And therefore, he'll hold that you get malchus. So that's what it says over here on the top of Beis Gimel Mid Beis. It says v'chilo mechayev Rabbi Shmuel l'sha'avar carbon avol malchus chiyuv mechayev. So that's a little bit of introduction to understand what we're about to see. So it's practically more b'mai okimta Rabbi Shmuel. So what we're going to do, we're going to establish our Mishnah, which is not just about Shavuos, but talks about other topics too. And it's ul malchus. It's talking about a situation where you're going to be chay malchus. Again, when you make a shvuah saying I didn't eat or I did eat, but the opposite was the truth, so you'd be chay malchus, but you would not be chayev a carbon oil v'yored. So maris negoyim, which is also a situation, it says there's two, which is four, referring to the toldos, the ace of saras. So my malchus ika. I understand how can a person get malchus? You have saras, you're tummy, and that's it. So my answer is bekaitis beharto. If a person cuts off their saras, and that's a kreb oven. When you have any of those languages, say. So it's a lav. So therefore, if you would cut off the saras, so taka is a lav, and therefore our Mishnah could be talking about cases where you're chayav malchus. Okay. You see, a Shabbos, my malchus ika. So we said that there's two midaraisa, which is haitzah, taking the object outward, whether you were in and you went out, or the person was already out and he stuck his hands in and took it from in and out. That's haitzah, from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Rabim. And then there's also hachnasa, which B'derech Svara, as Perek Hazarik explains, that's the reason why you're going to be chayav there too. But what do you mean by malchus? It's a chayav skila. So what does that mean? So lav shenit. So we say lav shenit on the Taras Misas based on who? The whole lav shenit on the Taras Misas based on ain't like in a love. You don't get malchus on this. That if it's something which you're really chayav misa, but you got an azhara that you're going to get malchus, you're not going to get malchus on such a thing. Says Rashi, lav ha'omer b'Shabbos, the lav in the Torah, lo nitin l'oinish malchus. The purpose of the lav is not to get malchus. Eloshim yavor lav yisrabo hamas shuba skila. You're going to get killed with skila. V'im lo hasra. I'm talking. Let's say you didn't get hasra. For skila, we're going to say you better not be machal Shabbos mazed, because you're going to end up getting malchus. Ein dina lilkais shlol enish malchus kisvayim etchila. Right? There's no mentioning anywhere that the punishment should be malchus. It's a chiv skila. So therefore, if you gave the hasra, you're going to get malchus, that's a lav hanitin l'hasras Mrs. based in, so in like it a love. So the kash is, how could our Mishnah be like the Shita of Rabbi Shmuel when he himself doesn't hold a chayra? You wouldn't be able to get malchus in this case. Mishum hachika mokimna Rabbi Shmuel. That's the reason why we established Rabbi Shmuel. The Yamar lav shenit on the Saras Mrs. based in like it a love. The Taka does hold you get malchus in such a situation. Halav hachi. Otherwise, if it wasn't for that one problem, then kaima Rabbi Kiva. Then we would actually have held like the sheet of Rabbi Kiva. Who's Rabbi Kiva? So Rabbi Kiva, as we saw again on Gimel Madal, said, Al helam tuma hum chayiv, v'enu chayiv al helam mikdash. And a person who is helam, made a mistake by entering the mikdash, so that's a situation where he holds you don't get malchus. The truth is, we would have established it like the sheet of Rabbi Kiva. Why not? We could have said maybe teretz like Rabbi Kiva, but for this reason, because we know Rabbi Kiva holds lav shenit l'hasaras Mrs. based in is in like in a love, so therefore we couldn't establish it like him. That's why we had to say like Rabbi Shmuel, who else holds like in a love. So kashi dias halav hachi kaimak Rabbi Kiva. Kashi dias lav. So we have a kasha of the Yedias Lav. Am Rabbi Shmuel. So what do we say? It's Rabbi Shmuel Uba Malchus, and therefore you're not have a carbon oil yored on I ate, I didn't eat, but you're still chayv Malchus. So Rabbi Kiva Nami Uba Malchus. So again, you could have said the same thing with Rabbi Kiva. Yihachi Yedias Hasrois Meboile. So Halu Kasha. Tini Yedias de Hasrois. That has to do with the issue of Hasra. The Hachi Shtaim Shein Arba Tartihu Dehavin. There's only two. Vasu Eshiesh Bo Yedia B'Chila of Yedia B'Saif. Let's say there's Yedia at the beginning and the end. The Helam being a time you forgot in between. Halama Malchus my vinite. What does that mean? This whole notion of Halama, that should have no matter when it comes to the din of Malchus. Vasu harizeh b'oil v'yared, right? So it says beferish that you're chayv an oil v'yared. Elam Rav Yosef Rebbehi. So therefore we have a different shot. Really, this Mishnah is like Rebbe. V'notzav liba the tanoi b'yadias notzav l'kirbi Shmuel. When it comes to the din of Yadias, he'll hold like Rabbi Shmuel. And b'shvuos nosav Rabbi Kiva, who hold like Rabbi Kiva. So Amar Rav Ashi Amrisal Shmeisa Kamid Rav Kahana Yomi Lo Tema Rebbe Notziv Lo Liba de Tanoi. Don't say that Rebbe like leans according to one Tanoim Belay Lo Svirle El Rebbe Taima de Nafshi Mafar. She's saying his own reason in the Sanya. Menayin Sheinu Chayev El Al Sheish Bo Yedim B'Chil V'Yedim B'Soif. How do only Chayev if there's the idea at the beginning and at the end? The helmet of time you forgot between. Talmud Amar. V'nelam shnei pamim. It says v'nelam 2 times in the psukim. Divrei Rabbi Kiva. So look at this last Rashi. Trey v'nelam ksivi. It's written twice. Gabi tumas carbon. When it comes to the dinim of tumas carbon, as we continue to Dalam at Beis, Rashi continues. There's an oil v'yored. V'nelam imenu v'hu tami v'nelam imenu v'hu yada. So Kama dafkel migmer mine al elam tuma hu chayiv ve'nu chayiv al helam mikdash. So he holds based on the psukim is only a chayiv on helam tuma by coming in contact with a tuma, but not helam mikdash. The the second pasuk is extra l'drasha. Hatav heita v'hu yada ben trei v'nelam v'darsh d'machash ha'isi yediyah nelam. Remember the boy Yedia b'Chil v'Yedia b'Soif. L'tzrich kra de'ilu yada shechata my lacy carbon. Right, so obviously you wouldn't have had brought a carbon in that way. So that's Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Oimer enu tzarich hari Oimer v'nelem mechlal Yedia v'hu yada hari kan shtei Yedia. Same kinam atamad v'nelem. Why say it twice? L'chayev al ha'elam tuma ve'al helam mikdash. To see your chayev on both. So this is not the sheet of Rabbi Kiva, who holds you're not chayiv on both. You're not chayiv on mikdash. But according to this pshat, you are. Question 13. Elam Rabbi Yosef, B'Shvuos, that's what Rabbi Akiva. B'Yedias, that's what Rabbi Shmuel. So Masav Rabbi Shmuel B'Shvuos, so Masav Rabbi Akiva B'Yedias, the Masnis and Shtaim Shein Arba, Lav Kavosaihu. So Rabbi Yishmael holds Dein Chayav Carbon Shvua al Lahaba. You're not Chayav Carbon Shvua al Lahaba. Okay? Rabbi Akiva said Dein Chayav al Helam Mikdash. So because of those two things, as we said, our Mishnah says you're Chayav on all four, you can't be like them, and therefore it's like the sheet of Rabbi who gravitates according to one, according to the other. Okay. So Ashken be a DSD time of the Nashe, Shvusli say time of the Nashe Minolan. I can understand this, which has a reason for itself. However, Shvua Stelesle time of the Nashe Minolan. Svarhu. Let's see the parentheses. Lish Nachrina Ashken be a DS the Savar Lok Rabbi Shmuel, B'Shvuos, the Savar Lok Rabbi Kiva Minolan, the Manolan, Svarhu, Rabbi Kiva, my time of Kol Machayev, Lish Avhar. Why does Rabbi Kiva say Chayev in the past? The Dorish Riboy Mitui. So Rabbi Nami Dorish Riboy Mitui. The Sanya Rabbi Yomer B'chol Poidin B'chor. Adam, with everything you can be poid a person. Chutz bin Ashtaros, excluding documents. Rabbanan Amri B'chol Poidin B'chor. Adam. Chutz bin Avodim Ishtaros or Karkais. So it's a little more expansive. It's not just Shtaros, but it's also Avodim and Karka. So my time, the Rebbe. Why does Rabbi say that the only thing that you cannot be poida pidin b'chor is only on a star? Because the Rebbe darish riboy mute. The pasuk says upiyudam ben chodesh, when a child is 30 days old, then he has a pidin ben. That's riboy. Berkacha kesef chamesh shkalim, which seems very specific of how much to give, 5 shkalim mute. Tipade chazav ribo mid ribo. It's again. This is one of the drushes. And riba hakoil. My riba Rabbi called mili includes everything, but there is a miyat. So my miyat shtaros. It just excludes the least thing, which is shtaros. Rabban darshikol prati. Ufadu min ben chaydesh is klal, the general pasuk. Berkach kasav chamesh shkolim is prat, more specific. Tipade chazav kol. Kol prat and klal, you have to done el k'ena prat. Ma prat maforish. Davar hamatalta v'gufal mammon. When it comes to these 5 shkolim, it's something which is like movable and in itself has intrinsic value. I've called davar hamatalta v'gufal mammon. Yotzu karka shem mataltlan. We exclude the land which is not mataltlan. Yotzu avodim shehushol karkais. Yotzu shtaras alpha v'shem mataltlan, even though they are mataltlan in gufal mammon. It in itself has no value. The piece of paper. So Amali Ravina Meimar Rebbe Darish Riboy Mute. We're telling me now that Rebbe darshans Riboy Mute, not Klal Prat. V'ha Rebbe Klal Prati Darsh. I'll show you elsewhere he does hold Klal Prat. Darsh. Desanya Martseya. When it comes to an Eved Ivri, he's supposed to leave after 6 years, but if he decides to stay, so he's a Nirtza and you pierce his ear. So Mirtza Ainli El Martseya, only with an all, AWL. Minan Rabos Hatsoya, Vatsira, Hamechet, Mamikadeach, Vamichtav, all these different types of piercing instruments. Talmud Loimer V'lokach, Kol Davar Shenilkach, Biyad, anything you can grab with a hand. Div Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Omer Martseya, Ma Martseya Miyuchid Shomatachas, it's got to be like a metal. I've called Shomatachas. Rabbi B'mai Kamifki, what's the Machlokas? So Rabbi Darsh call it Prati. Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda Darsh Riboy Umiyute. So the whole reason of what tool can be used to pierce the ear of the right ear of the Eved Ivri is totally, is it a Klal Prat or is it a Riboy Miyut? Hey Amadalf. Riboy Miyute. So what do we see? So this is actually a kasha. So we see Taka that in one place he holds Riboy Miyut, one place he holds Klal Prat. So in the Alma Klal Prati Darsh, you're right. Typically speaking, like we see over here, that Rabbi darshans a Klal Pratu Klal. So the question is, he says it's like made out of metal, and everything is made out of metal, and that's it. So your answer is like this. You're right. Be'alma, klal prati v'klali, darsh. He normally darshans klal prati klal. So how come over here it's a riboy? B'halcha hanu tayim k'detan Rabbi Shmuel. Detan Rabbi Shmuel, b'mayim shnei pamim. It says mayim 2 times. Says Rashi, es zetoichelu. This you could eat, mikol asher b'mayim, anything is in the water. So klal b'yomim, that's klal. And then it says b'yomim v'nechalim, specific places, that's prat. Then it says b'mayim chazer kolol. So you have klal prat and klal. It says no, the words are written next to each other. It's not a typical klal prat and klal because you have the 2 kloim next to each other, and the prat is only afterwards. Hilchach says Rashi, ein ze klal prat. This is not considered klal prat. Ella hatilu b'intayim lidrosh b'riboy mute. In that case, you'd have to darshan it as a mita riboy. B'mayim shnei pamim ein ze klal prat el riboy mute. Rabban Omer Ravina k'nei amri b'mrava kol makam she'atamayt shtei klolos hasmuchas zelazu. If you have 2 klolos which are near one another, hitul prat b'neihem, you put a prat in between, b'dainin b'chalal prat. So therefore we see certainly practically it's more often that this is the case, and therefore again normally you're right. Hitaka does hold klal prat, but in this case he holds riboy mute. Hashda diarmid Rabbi klali prati darish. So now we're saying the Rabbi holds of klal prat in general. Bal korchach kasha shvuos. El b'shvuos not to believe Rabbi Kiva v'lei lo svirulei. He doesn't hold like him. Fine. Let's look at maybe another question. Ufido mi ben chaydish be'erkacha ma nafke mina ben im darish hapasik hazeh b'riboy. What's the din when it comes to pinyan haben? What exactly is allowed, what is not. So this is question 14. Regarding opinion of Ben, it's my miyut, it's only miyut shtaros, and Rabbanan says klal prat klal, right? So therefore, so what is that? Yatadan el ke'ena prat. So ma prat mafurish davar mataltel begufo mamoin, I've called davar mataltel begufo mamoin, which is yatsa karkais, shemataltel yatsa avadim, shusha karkais, yatsa shtaros. Okay, so everyone holds shtaros, but the point is it's not just shtaros, but also avadim and karkos. That's the nafgamina, whether you can be poida pidin haben on avadim in karka, but certainly shtar you can not. Okay. Adkan.